are listening to the Iterators of the Imperium.
Hi, I'm MEZ, and I'm here with my co-host Ryan, and you're listening to Season 3 of the Iterators of the Imperium podcast, the podcast in which Ryan is the expert on Warhammer 40K, and I am the noob trying to learn about the Warhammer universe. And as you guys can see here for Season 3, we actually do have a virtual studio that you can see on both YouTube and actually on Spotify as well. It's actually kind of cool if I have to say so myself. But yeah, I could ramble for hours upon hours about technical stuff, so let's just go over to Ryan. So Ryan, what are we talking about today?
Just before we get into this, I just want to point out, you're sitting there bragging about something you made.
It's a humble brag.
Is it?
No. Let's just say it is, though. Please.
We'll pretend it is, for your sake.
Thank you.
Oh.
I appreciate it. But yes,
Right.
I am a baby, Ryan. I'm a baby.
You are a little baby, little metaphorical, theoretical baby MEZ. Innocent
Yes.
and blind to the universe around you, unaware of who you are, or what your parents are, or any of the horrors or wonders of the galaxy, which I'm sure you will
Exactly.
soon come to terms with.
Yes. Oh, by the way, for the listeners right now, I mean, Ryan, if people find this episode as the first one, right, they're going to be questioning you. Why the hell are you a baby? Can
Well,
you
that is a good
reiterate, Ryan?
Yeah, so for the sake of this season, because we're covering the Primarchs, in case this is anyone's first episode or anyone has been confused about it until this stage, MEZ is playing the role of one of the Primarchs, so we are telling the story of the Primarch as if it is MEZ living it out. So it is told in a first-person position. So
Yes.
for the sake of our setting, it is about somewhere between the year 30,700 and 30,800. Slaanesh has just been born. The Eldar are recoiling from their decimation. Warp storms that were ravaging the galaxy are now gone, or at least calmed down a hell of a lot. So the Emperor is free to take the Imperium of Man from Terra out into the galaxy at large and begin his crusade anew. Or, well, I guess properly to begin with. It's not really anew. Well,
Yeah.
he was kind of crusading on Earth. It was just really small scale, I guess.
So take it to the next level.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
None of that is where our story begins, MEZ, as you know.
No.
Today, our story begins on the world of Macragge. Now,
Yes.
for a lot of people, that'll tell them who we're talking about here. But, as MEZ said, he is a noob. He doesn't know whose planet this is, or what section of the galaxy at large this stands within. Our story starts a little before when you landed on this planet, though. Right? There is a slight bit of storytelling that should be told before we get to you. Our story is going to begin in the dark of night on Macragge in the bedroom of a nobleman named Connor.
Okay.
Weird start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
why are you doing that
I don't
with
know.
your eyebrow?
I don't know. So, Connor, the man in question here, is one of two consuls on Macragge, right? Do you know what a consul is?
No.
Back in, like, old Rome, a consul was the term for the highest political power on a planet, but they are elected by the populace. So they're essentially like, these two people are essentially like the rulers of the planet, but they are democratically elected, I guess? It's by popular demand. So these two people run this planet, Connor and Galan.
Yes. Oh, thank you for iterating, by the way. I actually think I knew that. I think you actually told me that before, but when you asked me what a console is, I was about to say PlayStation 5? Xbox?
Yeah.
That's the normal connotation. That's the normal connotation I use that in, but yes, continue.
Yeah. So Connor, the man in question that's sleeping in his bedroom this night, is one of these rulers of Macragge. But he is also a great military leader to the extent that at the age of 25, he had already pacified the largest continent on this planet.
Okay.
And to give you a little bit more about this guy, he is a ruler, but he rules for the betterment of the common folk, right? So before he got in charge, it was really common that like the wealthy kind of nobles and stuff that owned land and everything had slaves working on their land, things like that. So they just became more wealthy because they weren't paying workers or anything. Basically, the system was designed as you would expect in that kind of social system, to purely benefit the wealthy and influential.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and then when Connor came into power alongside Galan, he started putting in reforms and things that skewed it a lot more back towards an even playing field. So he put in a lot of stuff that made it in favor of the common folk, and he really looked after his people rather than the rich and influential.
I like that.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. He was a nice guy. Honestly, he was just a good guy. Honourable man.
Yeah.
But obviously, to the same degree, he was quite a divisive man because all those same influential, wealthy people hated him because now they didn't have slaves to work their plantations and things, and they had to pay people. So he was like loved by the people, hated by like the nobles and things like that.
Of course.
Yeah, as you would expect.
He ruined their perfect plan.
that was it. But on this most auspicious of nights, Connor is sleeping in his bed and dreaming just nice, pleasant dreams, but weird ones. Weirdly vivid dreams, right?
Okay.
And on this night, he dreams of a giant in gold armor, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. And he also
I know
dreams...
who it is.
Oh yeah, we all know who it is, come on. He also dreams of himself in the Valley of Laponis by Hera's Falls. So it's an area of this world. And Hera's Falls are, I assume, a waterfall. But regardless, he's dreaming of himself in a particular area of this world, right? So when he wakes up, he gathers his guards and he rides for Hera's Falls. And when he gets there, he found you.
Ooh.
In your little pod, little baby Primarch MEZ, in your incubation pod at Hera's Falls, with a glowing aura around you. Oh. So, he takes you in, and he takes you back to his house, and he decides he's going to raise you as his own.
Okay.
And he names you. He names you Great One. But that's what the name means. The actual name was Roboute.
Guilliman.
Yeah. So you are now Roboute Guilliman, son of Connor Guilliman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
See,
all right.
Remember in like a couple of episodes ago when we were like, God, these all go like in a similar way. Yeah, this is like one of the good ones.
Oh, yes. I mean, up until now, it's just been like death and horror and like, yes, monsters. This is quite nice. He found me. He took me in. It was bound to happen at some point.
I mean, Raised by Wolves was a weirdly pleasant one.
Yes, in Warhammer context, it makes sense. That's the that's the easy version. That's
the sad part.
The thing is, you say wolves. It's like massive, gigantic, freaking freaks of, I don't know, the wolves. That's like, I don't know how big they are, but I don't know. Continue. Oh man.
Yeah, Fenrisian she-wolves are really big wolves, so that's a good point. Yeah, but somehow being raised by wolves worked out pretty well.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. I mean, they've all worked out okay so far. We're doing the good guys here. There's a reason that they're the good guys. It's because they had reasonable upbringings.
Yes.
Like when we get on to like all the evil ones, you're just going to be like, God, their childhood was the worst. You're like, yeah, that's why they're evil.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah. Oh, his dad beat him to within an inch of his life every day when he was a child. No wonder he's evil and hates his new dad. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. But yeah, this is one of the better upbringings that you can get.
I mean, this sounds quite pleasant.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's quite like old school Rome, this world. That's like the way this kind of works out, which is why it's stuff like Hera's Fall and things like that, because Hera is...
Yeah.
Yeah. In the years to come, you were raised by Connor and his seneschal named... Tarasha? Yeah, Tarasha Utin, that was it. And... You know, you grew up rapidly in body and mind, as Primarchs are wont to do. By the age of 10, you had mastered all of the subjects that the scholars of Macragge could teach you. To such a degree that you could bewilder the elders of this world with your thoughts on like history and politics and diplomacy and things like that. You thought about things in a way no one else on this planet had ever thought about things.
Wait, and I was 12, did you say?
You were 10.
I was 10?
You were 10.
God.
You were bewildering the planet's elders with your knowledge.
All right.
Yeah. But your greatest strength, can you guess what you were best at?
I mean, I'm a Primarch. Like, I should be strong as hell.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No one's doubting your strength.
But my where I excel should be like the strategic part. Where you put it up like that.
See, I thought you'd know that, because we've talked about Guilliman more than any other Primarch.
We talked a lot about Roboute.
Yeah.
Robust Roboute Guilliman.
That's it. So, yes, you were best skilled. Even though you were incredibly skilled in basically every manner, your greatest strength was absolutely your military strategy. You were an incredible military leader, even at the age of like 10.
How do you even get into that position as a 10-year-old?
I assume by beating up everyone from like the lowest grunt to like the highest general, and then they just accept you're in charge. So, being this great military leader that you are put in charge of a military campaign, right? Connor likes to put you in charge of one of them. So what you have to do, right, is go to the Illyrian Mountains and deal with the tribesmen there that have been running a campaign terrorizing the more civilized people of this world.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the thing is, the tribesmen live in the mountains that are way up at the north, so it's like snowy, you know, big mountain peaks and things. Trying to have actual soldiers fight the tribesmen that live there ain't gonna go very well, is it? Right? Because it's kind of like fighting a civilian populace. They don't have to follow any rules. They'll do anything and everything to win that fight. And if they know the terrain so much better than you do, they have a massive advantage. So what you'd probably end up with is like a guerrilla war going on that basically just turns into a war of attrition, right? It's not going to be clean, it's not going to be easy, it's not going to be smart or efficient. That's not how you do things, though. You were never going to do the guerrilla warfare style of this. You had a better idea. What you did was, you marched your army to the shrines, the religious shrines that they have, and occupied them. You just get your army inside and hold them. Because then the tribesmen want you out, so they'll just march their army to you, and then you don't have to try and find them in the mountains or anything like that. They just come to you, because they want you out. They're so angry about it.
Ah, that's quite smart.
It's genius, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, when they arrive, what you do is you challenge their leader, the tribe leader, to a duel. Right?
Yes.
So he comes forward and he agrees to fight you. Right? And you start fighting. You never take a swing. You only block his attacks. For the entire duel, you never take a swing at this guy. And he keeps fighting, keeps desperately trying to take you down. And you're basically playing with him, right?
Oh, that must be so infuriating, you know?
Yeah, but he's so desperate to see you defeated that he keeps swinging until he's totally exhausted and can't do anything anymore. At which point, you don't kill him, right? You don't end this guy. What you do instead is present him with an ancient artifact. It's an idol that the people of like the civilized people of Macragge, stole from the tribesmen years ago one of their religious icons, really important to their culture. Probably the reason that they were running this campaign of terror against them in the first place. They just wanted their stuff back.
Oh.
So you give this back, to this tribe's leader, and he decides, after accepting it, to end the campaign of warfare between his people and yours. Because he wants to be the same kind of leader you are. He's taking your example. He wants to be an honorable leader to his people, just like you.
Oh, that's sick, you know.
For the record, the history books say that you basically marched in there and stomped the tribesmen into the ground till they accepted that they weren't allowed to fight anymore. But what actually happened was you got them on side by being a good guy.
Yeah, but how did they react to the story then later?
Oh, I don't think they care. Like, we know what happened. Who cares what they write down? Losers.
Fair play, fair play.
They're sitting in the mountains smoking and eating like a big leg of a creature that they've just cooked on a spit, like pansies in their libraries.
Couldn't care less.
I don't think they care what you write down about them.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, after this campaign, you headed back to the city, right? Now, I want you to know something annoying about this, right? The world is called Macragge, right? The city that you grew up in is also called Macragge, because it's the world's capital. But it has a larger name. People just call it Macragge as well. So, the world is Macragge, and the planet is Magna Macragge Civitas, right? So, but people just call it Macragge as well, and that annoys me a little bit. But fair enough, it's the capital. Do what you like with it. For the record, this is also a capital world. It's not just it's not just like a world with a capital city. You live in a capital city on a capital world within the realm of Ultramar, which is like the area this place controls of space.
Yeah.
Which I think it involves 300 worlds by the end of this whole thing. Which is fun.
Yeah.
So, you head back to the city, and you find it in total full-scale riots, right?
Yeah.
So, you set your troops to quell this kind of rebellion, set order to the city again, because you've got like a small army with you because you had just came back from fighting a campaign. So you come back and you set your troops to start kind of quelling this rebellion, get things back in order, and you're obviously involved in that as well. Until you see the consul's house, your home, your father's home, is being besieged by the rioters. So you're like, well, fuck this. You guys keep everything, like, you guys try calm everything down. I'm going to go deal with that. So you charge over, take out the people that are besieging the place, pretty quickly, I might add, because they're basically randoms. They're not like not really soldiers, or not all of them are, at least. So you drop them, then you go inside, and you find that your father is lying, bleeding to death.
Okay, Yep.
He explains to you, with his dying breaths, what has happened. He explains that Galen, the other consul of this world, has staged a coup. Or he's tried to stage a coup. He's tried to take control. Traitor!
Yeah. Heresy.
That's it. Basically, what he did was he whipped up the outrage of all the higher noble classes that were pissed off about Connor shifting everything to be better for the common people, and thus making it worse for the wealthy, until they were all outraged and caused them all to start riots. And during this, he employed an assassin to go murder Connor so he could seize control. Now, Connor is dying here. So, after he passes, you go back to the streets, take back the city with your army, round up all the people that were involved in this, all the nobles and Galan, execute all of them.
Yes, now.
And then you then distribute all of their wealth and holdings, all their land and everything, amongst all the common people.
Yo, I'm Robin Hood, in that sense. I like that.
Yeah, that's it.
They got what they deserve, man.
Yeah. Now, in the kind of time that followed, right? If you think about the fact that Connor was beloved by the common folk, right? And Galan was beloved by the wealthy and the nobles and stuff because he looked after their interests.
Yeah.
The majority of them were killed because they joined Connor in this coup. And Connor was dead as well, and now... sorry, because they joined Galan in the coup. And Galan has now been executed as well for staging the coup. Connor was killed during it. So the people turn to you. And you become the new consul of Macragge, but the only one. You become the sole leader, because the mass of the populace wants you in charge, so you become the consul. So you end up ruling Macragge in your father's stead. And in the years that follow, you lead Macragge into an age of prosperity never seen before.
Oh.
That is it. You did a good job,
cool.
man.
Yeah, I know. I've worked hard, Ryan. I would like to thank God. I would like to... I'm doing my speech now. I'm doing my speech right now. You know, on the podium, I'm standing there and I'm giving my speech. I want to thank my mom, my dad. Oh, wait, no, mind.
Which one?
Well, at this point, I don't know who's my real dad, you know?
No, you don't. No.
Yeah.
I think you're pretty sure that Connor isn't your real dad, but he is the one that raised you. So you're always going to think of him as your father, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, we're going to go forward 5 years, right? 5 years with you in charge of Macragge, right?
Yep.
This world is a wildly prosperous world. It is self-sustaining, which is rare in the Imperium.
Okay. Yep.
And it has a well-outfitted military, which is strange. And they trade with other star systems, with other planets across the galaxy as well, which is also quite rare in this regard. So, this is possibly one of the best worlds in the Imperium.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's scarily friendly out here.
That's it. Like, this is a good place to be, which is so
eerie.
new.
It's eerie. I don't know if I like it, Ryan.
Strange, isn't it?
This is like I need some more gore for it to be Warhammer. Right now, it sounds like I don't know. The horror will come very soon. By the way, I know this is coming around the corner.
There isn't actually a lot of it in this one, weirdly.
Oh, there isn't?
No.
Guilliman's
got like a weirdly clean storyline until like the midpoint of the heresy when everything goes a bit shady for him. But even then, the stuff that goes weird is like mostly political and diplomatic, like you know, kind of shadiness.
Yeah. So essentially, there's the heresy and there's the coup. So we had to execute the people.
Yeah.
That's all the blood we get today.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah. Guilliman's storyline, unsurprisingly, is predominantly politics.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right, nice. Politics and freaking strategic warfare.
Yeah, he is briefly hated by a lot of people, and to this day hides the secrets from the Imperium of what he did to cause that, because it's like forgotten history at this stage, like the entire heresy is. But otherwise, he's a cool guy. He's got a pretty chill life. It's just a lot of politics.
Oh, sorry, I got it easy, I should say.
Yeah, you do. So, everything's going good 5 years on into you ruling this place. And this is the point where the obligatory gold-clad giant turns up.
Yes, Daddy's home.
That's it. He rocks up one day, he explains who he is, he explains who you are, and what is to come, what his plans for you are, things like that, and for the galaxy as a whole, I guess. And he also remarks on the wonder that you have created of this world, of this empire you've built here.
Oh, so he's actually proud, or
he's impressed. He's proud, but he's also very impressed with you.
Yeah.
Now, with no pomp or circumstance, you accept his word and his offer, you take up your true role as a Primarch, and you take immediate control of the 13th Legion, the Warborn. Right? Now, I want you to know, this is very rare that you immediately get control of your Legion. Because, like you've seen with the last few, there's usually a bit of time to get you up to scratch with what's going on and things like that. Emperor didn't think you needed that. From day one, he was like, alright, here's your dudes, go find some planets for us. Because he knew you could handle it. You've proven that.
Yeah.
You've already built your empire on your own. You can lead armies better than most people, most Primarchs. Like,
Yeah,
you'll be
it's
fine.
almost like, you know, I have certain traits from my father, and my traits are weirdly enough the strategic side and like playing smart.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Well, the thing is, all the
funny
Primarchs
enough.
did take traits from their father.
Of course.
All of them did. For example, obviously, Magnus gets the Psyker stuff. Sanguinius and Kurz both got the seeing the future in slightly different ways, but they both got that. Vulcan got the immortal side of it, stuff like that. They all get something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Roboute got the strategic mind.
that's it. A couple of them got the craftsman thing as well. What was it? It's Perturabo and well, I suppose Ferrus Manus got it as well, but that's a bit.
Yes.
Ferrus Manus and Fulgrim are both pretty good craftsmen, or pretty incredible craftsmen to be fair. But Ferrus Manus and Vulcan are like weaponsmith kind of craftsmen, you know? Whereas Perturabo and Rogal Dorn are like building defenses and buildings and things, kinds of craftsmen, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although Perturabo can basically build anything. Do you know what that Antikytherian mechanism is?
No, I've never heard that word in my life.
No? It's like an ancient hidden or ancient lost relic thing that was found by deep sea sponge divers off the coast of an island in Greece. An island called Antikythera, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong, but whatever. Basically, a ship had hit the rocks and sank like years before this point, and then these divers found this stuff, and it's like bronze statues and all this kind of stuff. And in the hand of one of the statues, I believe, was this little box thing. And when they brought it up, they couldn't figure out what it was, but all this stuff ended up going to a museum. But a lot of it went in storage first, and this thing was broken into 3 pieces before going into storage while they were trying to bring it up. And it was only like years later that they figured out it was all one thing. And they believe it was this ancient device for keeping track of the date. So it was date, time, lunar cycle, solar cycle, and all this kind of stuff. And it did it all with like just gear mechanisms, which at the time, for the age it's from, was centuries ahead of where it should have been with like scientific knowledge. But there is a book about this actually happened with. This is a real thing. Like it's in a museum in Greece somewhere.
I think I've heard about this before. Yeah.
But within 40K, there is a book about Magnus. I believe it's Morning Star. It's called. Where Perturabo and Magnus are using their legions to ransack this planet called Morningstar. And in it, Perturabo builds the Antikytherian mechanism. He builds a replica of it for Magnus. And it turns out that they believe it allows... There's sighting glasses on it, so you can look through it, and no one knows why. But in this, Magnus believes it allows you to see the warp.
Oh.
Yeah, so as if it was designed way back when by, like, an initial psyker or something like that. Or like a first iteration of a navigator or something.
Yeah.
And Perturabo builds him a perfect replica of it. Funnily enough, he then destroys it in front of him because this is shortly after the Council of Nicaea, when Magnus got slapped in the back of the head for being magic. So Perturabo's like, I built the thing, it's perfect. And then is immediately like, crush, destroy thing. Stop fucking around with magic, you dickhead, you've been told already. So yeah, Port Rabble can build basically anything.
Yeah.
There's a history lesson in the middle of this for you.
Yeah, that's a bonus. That's a bonus for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
All for free, yeah?
We could do a second podcast that's just real world lore, and I just tell bullshit stories like that.
And then how it ties together with the Warhammer universe.
Oh yeah, we could do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, because actually there's a lot in Warhammer that's like, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
That's Nordic mythology or Greek mythology or whatever, right? They take a real world lore and like mysteries and stuff like that into Warhammer. It's nice.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of the Primarchs and their legions are based off of a particular culture or something like that. So the home worlds of those Primarchs tend to be basically the culture they're based off of. So the Ultramarines are meant to be like the Roman soldiers. So Ultramar is quite a bit like Rome. Or, well, Macragge is quite a bit like Rome. Fenris is obviously based on the Vikings. And then you've got Jagatai Khan, which is based off of the Mongolian hordes, and Genghis Khan and all that. And their world is actually it works like the Mongol hordes did. So everyone's on horseback raiding and stuff. So they tend to actually carry these things over. They pick a culture and design a legion based on it.
Yeah, exactly. Like Magnus, right, with the whole magic thing of Japan, which is just a magical place. I just wanted to get that in. I've been to Japan. Honestly, it's a different world out there. But I think we are straying too far from today's topic. Let's get back on track.
Let's circle back.
Yes.
If I had enough space, I'd spin on my chair for effect. But I'd probably just tangle myself up in cables and fall over. Which would be equally funny, but moving on. So, once you take control of the Warborn, which is the 13th Legion, you immediately make Macragge their new homeworld, and then rename the Legion to the Ultramarines.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, this is the point where you take your Legion into the Great Crusade, as it were. So this is the stage where we're going to step forward a bit to the aftermath of the heresy. Because there is so much in the middle of this.
Yes.
You and Sanguinius and Lionel Johnson, you're just on one side of the galaxy getting fucked about the whole time the heresy's going on. It's a whole thing.
Yep. We talked about this as well, the Sanguinius episode, so yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to go with aftermath, right? Now, after the heresy, obviously, the Emperor is incapacitated, and the Ultramarines are left as the largest loyal legion still going, right? Because the Raven Guard were decimated, Dark Angels, you know they got decimated, 10,000 of them got scattered across space and time, and the rest of them, half murdered each other and everything else. It wasn't a good time for the Loyalists. They were struggling, okay?
Yep.
So
rough times.
Yeah. Luckily, there was like 100,000 more Ultramarines than there were of any other legion before the heresy, so there were still a lot more of them than there were any other legion after the heresy. You guys were like the power in the galaxy at this point. So, you started leading your legion out into the galaxy to take worlds back from chaos.
Okay.
And at the same time, you also instated the Codex Astartes, because you had been set up as the, Commander General? Lord Commander of the Imperium. That's what it was. You had been set up as the Lord Commander of the Imperium. I assume primarily because, one, you're the best guy for the job because you're great at organising things, and two, because you've got the most troops that can actually do anything. So it makes sense to have you in charge, because you're the most powerful guy on the good side at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you start, taking back planets with your guys, and you instate the Codex Astartes to make sure no man will ever wield the power of a legion again, which in itself is the power to tear the galaxy apart, to set the galaxy in flames, as Horus had once claimed. So, as you know, Codex Astartes splits all the legions into chapters, rather than legions, of 1,000 Space Marines at max. Or around there. some of the other Primarchs were not happy about this. Rogal Dorn argued with you a lot. Lionel Johnson wasn't too happy about it. Lehman Russ argued with you as well. And then we know how a few of them turned out. Rogal Dorn said he did it and didn't actually. Lehman Russ pretends he didn't actually. He tried, didn't work out very well. Just caused mutants that they had to kill, or they ended up dying anyway. So, that went a whole way.
Yep.
It's lucky that Rogal Dorn didn't listen to you, because the Last Wall Protocol saved the day. It really did. It saved Earth.
Terra.
Yeah, save Terra. That's it. So, in this time after this point where you guys were like enacting what is called the Great Scouring, which is when all the loyalist troops went out in the galaxy and basically forced all the Chaos guys back to the Eye of Terror. During this point, you led your troops in a battle against the Alpha Legion on Escrador, which is just a random planet. And in this fight, you ended up face to face with Alfarius himself, and you fucking killed him.
Of course.
You murdered your brother. You murdered him good. Weird thing, though. The Alpha Legion didn't seem to care that you killed him. Because they actually rallied their troops and started forcing you back, till eventually you just went into orbit and bombed the crap out of the planet to get rid of them.
All right.
Yeah. Well, you don't know a lot about the Alpha Legion because we haven't really covered much about them. But their thing is, their logo is a Hydra, right? You cut off one head, two more sprout up.
Yeah.
So killing the leader doesn't really do much.
Nope.
They'll just find a new Alfarius, to be honest with you.
They just find two.
That's it, yeah. So you bombed the crap out of them after killing Alfarius and moved on with your life. Went back to scouring the galaxy. Yep.
Can I just want to add in with the whole real life lore, with the whole it's in Hercules as well with the Greek stuff.
Yeah.
Right. The whole monster, if you cut off its head, the Hydra, it spawns another one.
Yeah.
That's where Warhammer took it as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Real life lore and mystery. So just wanted to tie that in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do loads of stuff like that.
It's cool. I like it.
It is quite cool. So, sometime around this point, you went to Archmagos Dominus Belisarius Call and tasked him with 2 jobs, right? Do you remember what they were? Because we've covered this.
Oh. For the sake of the story, that fluidity just continue, but I do think I remember it, but I don't want to say something wrong.
Fair enough. So the first one was that if you should die, he is to find a way to revive you. Or if you should be mortally wounded, he is to find a way to revive you. That ended up taking the form of the Armor of Fate, a suit of power armor built for a Primarch that could, kind of supercharge their healing abilities. Yeah. And the second thing you made him promise was to find or to create a next generation of Space Marines, an improvement upon the Emperor's design, which took the form of the Primaris Marines.
Oh, the thing is, I remember both. I remember the first one with the promise there. The second one is a bit blurry, but yes, I do remember it. We've talked about
this is another thing, is we've never really progressed past Guilliman's return. We've never really pushed, went into the story beyond that point, right?
Only a bit.
Yeah, very little, right? Which means you've basically not heard about the Primaris Marines or anything like that yet.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that's all to come. But I felt like we wanted to cover some of this, a lot of the background stuff first, a lot of the early days stuff first. Because if you know the Primarchs and you know their stories and you know the legions and you know all the factions and these kind of things, when we start going into individual stories that are scattered throughout this whole thing, it doesn't matter where we go, it'll all make sense, it'll all fit into place, So once we've covered all the legions as well, we could basically roll a dice to pick a storyline and go, all right, today we're talking about the Flesh Terrors taking back their world after the devastation of Baal, and you'll be like, oh, Flesh Terrors, yeah, they're one of the Blood Angels successor chapters. Cool, let's do this. Right?
Yeah.
It'll all make sense. It'll all be reasonable to tell. So that's we're laying foundations here. Okay. Plus,
Yes.
Primarchs are cool.
Oh, they are.
Some more than others, but they're fucking cool. So, soon after you made this deal with Belisarius Call, you travelled to Thessalia, which is a world, to battle the Emperor's children, right? Do you remember who the Primarch of the Emperor's children is? Think purple armor. No?
No, I don't. I can't remember.
Alright. Well, it's the most perfect Primarch. It is Fulgrim.
Ah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So you went there to deal with Fulgrim and his kids, once and for all.
Pretty boy.
And
Sorry.
that's fine, you're not wrong.
He's a pretty boy.
Yeah. And you ended up in a one-on-one combat with Fulgrim himself. But when you found Fulgrim, he was not the man you remembered. Unlike Alfarius, who had not embraced chaos or any god individually to any real degree, Fulgrim had fully given himself over to Slaanesh and had became a demon prince of Slaanesh, which means he has like all the powers of Slaanesh, making him an absolute unit. So now he is gigantic. He has a snake tail instead of legs. He has extra arms. Right? He is a monster now. He is a grotesque beast of a creature now. No, nothing like he was when he was your brother.
Yes, and he was pretty overpowered before, but with Slaanesh, it's just like demon steroids.
That's it, yeah. So, in this fight, you fought valiantly, wielding the Emperor's sword as you're wont to do. And thing is, he's holding a poisoned sword in every one of his arms. And after...
How many arms does he have?
I think it was 6.
6 arms.
I think it was 3 and 3.
Is that a spider?
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong, but I believe it was 6. But partway through this battle, he lands a hit on you. He slashes your throat with one of the poisoned swords.
Yes.
Which is what ends the battle. Not Slaanesh. Fulgrim and his sons retreat back to the Eye of Terror, and your body is recovered by the apothecaries. They do their best to keep you alive. They do their very best until they get you back to Ultramar, where, in the Temple of Corrections, which is your northern fortress, they seal you in a stasis chamber in the Shrine of Guilliman, where you stay for 10,000 years until Cadia falls and chaos rises and the Imperium faces its darkest day as the galaxy is split in two by the Cicatrix Maledictum. And once again, the Empire needs the Avenging Sun.
Yes.
And there you stand as the Avenging Sun, wielding the Emperor's sword in the armor of fate.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember this part. Hey, I'm proud of myself. I mean, I'm not a complete noob anymore. I'm intermediate, I would say.
Yeah.
Level. I don't know.
I think I mentioned this before, but so that is as far as I wanted to go with this story. Because anything after the return really starts to get into, like, you know, the new things that are going on. But there is a few things that I'll mention just for the sake of, you know, interesting details. So there is an entire section of the government of the Imperium which is designed to redact information from the populace or from anyone's knowledge, really. They literally go around and destroy documentation of history to hide things that have happened in the past that would make people doubt the Emperor as a god. They basically,
we've talked about that before, yeah.
yeah. So Guilliman sets up the Historitors, which are basically like the Remembrancers that were there during the Great Crusade, to document it. The Historitors are sanctioned by Guilliman himself, so they have the authority of the Imperial Regent, and they go around and basically find evidence to build an accurate history of the Imperium in that 10,000 year gap between his fall and his rebirth. The idea being that because so much history has been lost, no one knows what's going on anymore or what happened in the middle. So you try to rebuild that. And there is a really funny bit in one of the books, really early into his rebirth, where he's sitting behind his desk, and he's got like 8 different calendars in front of him that are all currently used within the Imperium, and they're all totally different. And he's like, just enraged by the fact that no one even knows what fucking day it is.
I remember this. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
I love it so much.
It's so good.
And you've also got, for a little bit of information about the Primaris, right? So the Primaris Marines are bigger and stronger than the usual Space Marines, but they haven't been around as long, so they're not as veteraned, obviously. But they were initially known as the Unnumbered Sons. They basically acted as a chapter or legion or whatever in themselves, right? They weren't attached to the legions that they initially came from, because Belisarius Cawl built thousands of these fuckers using the gene seed of all the loyalist chapters, right? Or the loyalist legions. So there are Primaris of all the good guys, right? But initially they were all grouped together as one big group, scattered, like mixed with each other. So it wasn't like Unnumbered Sons of Sanguinius, of Rogal Dor and everything like that. They were all mixed amongst each other as the Unnumbered Sons. And they fought alongside Guilliman at the start of the crusade, or his crusade and things like that, to get things going again. Because he initially started off by getting Ultramar, the 300 worlds that are around Macragge, that they rule over. He initially started off by getting all of them back in order, getting all of them back under control, so that the Ultramarines could hold them and he could go off and do his own thing, knowing that his people were safe, but also that the Ultramar, the whole 300 worlds, could sit as like a safe haven that could, reinforce other areas, could supply other worlds and things like that, because he knew that they were safe. So in that, he had a bunch of the Unnumbered Sons still with him. But they gradually started feeding them out to their own legions and things like that, and their own chapters, which is quite cool. So there's a trilogy of books about Guilliman taking back Ultramar. Mortarion and Nurgle decide to go and try and kill him. So they're fucking around destroying a bunch of his planets, which upset him a great deal. And during this, he's got a bunch of the Unnumbered Sons with him, and he has one of his own Primaris, as like his equerry, so like his squire, I guess, is for lack of a better word, his second, basically. And during the books, once they take back Ultramar properly, it's split up into sections, and they have someone rule each section. So someone sits over like a third of the realm as a whole, as like a governor, basically. And he sets one of the Unnumbered Sons as one of these governors, and everyone's really pissed off about it, because he's been alive for like 5 years, right? They're like, why is he in charge? He's barely an Ultramarine. Never mind, should be in charge of a third of our worlds. And Guilliman's like, no, because if he's in charge, then then the Primaris get a fair say in what's going on, because one of the overarching leaders is theirs. Which I thought was quite cool. But that character is a really cool guy as well. He's just alongside Guilliman the entire time that he's doing this 3 books worth of war. He's just right there next to him, and he's just a really cool guy.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I think that is all I have to say about the wonder that is the Avenging Sun. Oh, wait.
Yes.
One last thing to do. The tier list update. I almost forgot. I apologize. I've been away for like 2 weeks. Well, Mez was away for a week, then I was away for a week because I was at Warhammer Fest down in Manchester. So I'm forgetting
how was
things.
it, by the way?
Oh, it was great.
How was it, by the way?
It was really good. Because I wasn't playing in any of the tournaments or anything like that, there was a little bit less to do because it is focused around like big tournaments that they run and stuff. But it was really cool. I managed to get some really cool figures. I got a really cool poster that's going to go up behind my computer.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, it's like a Dark Academia vibe design of the solar system of Terra. It's really cool.
Nice.
I'll show you it later. And I managed to get a few figures. I got the Vashtor the Archifane, the new demon god that's turned up. I got his model, which is going to be hella cool. And I managed to get a Chapter Master Dante. They released a new model for him as a Primaris now, which is very cool. So I managed to get that as well. And I got a few other random things. It was cool.
Yeah.
But, I also, you know how I like my Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Well, did you know that there is a Dungeons and Dragons style role-playing game based on each of the different settings of Warhammer?
I did not know that, no.
Yeah, well, there is. There's a Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which is the fantasy one. There is an Age of Sigmar version, and there is a 40K version. I believe it's Wrath and Glory, but I think there are different versions of that one.
Yeah.
And the missus really likes fantasy settings rather than sci-fi settings, and she likes playing Dungeons and Dragons. So we grabbed the starter set for the Warhammer Fantasy one, and we've been playing it, and it's really good.
It's the best of both worlds.
It really is, yeah. So I'm getting into the Warhammer Fantasy side of things now, which is quite cool.
Oh. All right, nice.
Yeah. Maybe we'll scatter in some random special episodes about that. Maybe there'll be a whole new podcast, Iterators of the Old World. Who knows? Who could say?
It sounds cool.
That would be fun.
Ryan, I cannot see on the tier list where I put the robust Roboute.
Mr. Roboute Guilliman is third in the A tier. He's right in the middle of the A tier here. This guy.
Yeah.
So
actually, I do remember rating him highly. And
oh yeah.
To be fair, I think he should be there, but I would love to move him up, but I'm not gonna do that. Essentially, because he's cool, right? We talked a lot about him.
Oh yeah,
the Rising Sun, right? But he's had way too easy of an upbringing that I kind of feel like
I respect
you're good
him
where
less.
you are. Yeah, the thing is, I respect it, right? Because he's cool. Like, he's done nice stuff and, like, he has the strategic mind. But he's not had the hardship that a lot of them have that really earns the respect as a character for me.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. God, you're going to respect the hell out of Angron.
Let's see. Otherwise, he's going to be angry at me.
Oh, God, you better respect Angron. Angron wouldn't even care. He'd be angry regardless.
Oh, but yeah, I think Roboute stays where he is. He's not gonna move.
I think that's a good place for Mr. Guilliman.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, right? There's a few of them that I think are gonna have like big jumps from where they are. I think you're really gonna like Conrad Kurz, but you've got him as first in D tier, and I think when we get to his storyline, he's gonna jump way up this list.
Oh. Right, don't spoil too much with names because I don't want to taint my mind.
I'm not going to tell you anything about his storyline on that, but I think you're going to really enjoy his storyline.
All right.
When you start getting to the traitor Primarchs, you start seeing like really, really weird upbringings and things like that. Because, like, part of the reason that they are traitors, like we said earlier, is because they had really shitty upbringings and things like that. And it just carries over, right? It just keeps on going. And a lot of them, in that sense, end up with really interesting storylines as they go.
Yeah.
So, I would say, I think that Alfarius is going to be one that you'll enjoy just because of who you are personally. And I think that Conrad Kurz is one that you're going to like as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see.
Yeah. I personally really like Mortarian's one, but Yeah, I don't think he's going to jump too highly for you.
That's only one way to find out.
Well, that's
and
it.
you guys are gonna find out later. So, do you want me to round it up, Ryan?
Go for it.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of Iterators of the Imperium Season 3 with Robust Roboute, as I call him.
Yeah.
I don't know why I actually call him that. I don't know why I do that.
It's a good name, though.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. We will see you in the next one. Take care and peace.
Bye.